Victims of human trafficking were identified during a major prostitution sting in Florida recently. Ring of Fire's Farron Cousins joins me to talk about it. I saw this story. I don't know that it's a human trafficking story. It's more, you know, they arrested a lot of working girls. They arrested a lot of Johns. And of course, in there, they found that a couple of them were involved in trafficking, which is very typical. I mean, I just wrote a book, Inhuman Trafficking, and I took part of the time to talk about the connection. There is a connection, but this headline that came out of WFLA, it's not correct.
Yeah, I feel like the local media down there in Polk County where this happened tried to hype it up to be something much bigger than it actually was.
I wondered if it was a DeSantis effort. You know.
Possibly, because they've identified at least 2 human trafficking victims, which is wonderful that they have now gotten these girls. They think there could be several more among the individuals they've arrested, which again is great. But I think a lot of what this is, and based on the sheriffs involved kind of gave a lot of snarky, sarcastic remarks in their press conference, making fun of the people they arrested. Yeah. It doesn't seem like a very serious event. They weren't serious people.
It was like they were proclaiming victory on human trafficking, and it's not. Look, if you want to proclaim human trafficking in any kind of victory, you've got to really trace the money to Wall Street. We're involved in handling those cases, as you know, and what we have figured out is a lot of the real organized traffickers, they literally get their money from Wall Street. So we've started bringing Wall Street into those cases. But, Farron, what about the characters the school teachers and Disney employees and police chiefs that were caught up in this? Talk about it.
Police chiefs and police officers, not just from Florida. They had some that were coming down from Georgia to get some Florida prostitutes, I guess. Yeah. 2 people, one who was a contract photographer with Disney, he got busted. One of them works in a Disney hotel. He was busted. Several teachers also got busted approaching, these undercover officers as part of this, they call it the fall haul. They do it pretty much every year to catch the Johns. But 2 teachers, one of whom I guess was trying to offer him a bag of sour Skittles, in addition to a little bit of cash.
Come here, little girl. I've got some Skittles and some cash for you.
And speaking of that, that's actually one of the terrifying things, because one of the individuals they did catch
15,
was out on bail, because he had allegedly been with a 15-year-old girl. So you had somebody who was accused of predatory behavior out there free, engaging in this kind of behavior again. And that, of course, is a very terrifying thing.
Well, look, I look at a story like this, and really the thing that really concerns me the most is human trafficking. But I don't think they accomplished that here. They arrested some working girls, and they arrested some Johns. And I guess they do this every year, did you say? This is like the fall, what's it called?
The fall haul. They even have a name of it. And they make a big spectacle of it. But look, if you found the victims of human trafficking, that is now where the investigation has to go.
Yeah,
you don't get to do your press conference and then say, we're done. You now have identified a problem, and you've got to follow it.
We have we have a lawyer here that was trafficked at 14. She made it out of there by the time she was 17, went on and got her MBA at UCLA, and then got her JD at UCLA. And the stories that she tells about law enforcement's inability to even understand what happens in trafficking, she says most of the time when she was on the street, they would figure out ways to arrest her rather than she would tell the story, well, here's where I'm living. They would do nothing about that because there's just there's such an impasse where it comes to their understanding of really how human trafficking takes place. But anyway, the fall haul. Okay. A new study has found that Americans' trust in the media is at an all-time low. These numbers are terrifying to me when I look at the way that the American public regards corporate media. Okay? Take it from there.
It's obviously, what are we at, like 35% total that trust the media at all, at any little bit. Yeah. So huge majority says absolutely do not trust the media. But then when you break it down by party, this is what is so stupid to me. 70% of Democrats say, no, we trust the media.
Yeah.
And then you have, 12%
or
14% of Republicans say they trust it. So you got 86% of Republicans say, no, we can't trust the media. And they're the ones consuming the most irresponsible media.
Yeah.
But 70% of Democrats trusting it, that's concerning. Because the media is not trustworthy right now.
This article was done by Gallup, and there's several articles that talk about this issue. And when you look at the way they characterize it, it is that Democrats are attracted to polarized politics. It's like you and I talked about earlier in the show, that Democrats want to hear what they want to hear. Whether it's journalism or not, they want to hear it. Republicans are the same way, but Republicans have a different attitude about this. They think that the media has become so dysfunctional that there has to be a complete sweep to redo it. But, I mean, as I look at this story, the thing that scares me is corporate media now is figuring out we need to move into social media. How's that affecting shows like ours or Sam Cedar or David Pakman or TYT? How does it affect us?
Well, what's happened, and this is something you and I had actually talked about a couple years ago, I think, is that you're seeing sites like YouTube push more corporate media, more videos from CNN and MSNBC and Fox News, instead of pushing with their algorithms independent outlets like what we have and Sam and Pakman and everybody else. So we get pushed back. The views start to decrease a little bit, the engagement goes down, and it's all because we're not being pushed as much.
We're being throttled back, Farron.
A little, yeah.
I mean, we're going to talk a story in a minute here where we're being throttled back, and that's happening with government. It's happening with corporates that don't like what we have to say. But if you go to the segment, let's take any one of your segments that you do. It could be a segment that it's so specific. Nobody else is talking about that particular segment. Look over to the right where they have listed all of the related stories. They're completely, utterly unrelated.
Yeah.
They are MSNBC talking about, if you're talking about Mars, they're talking about Venus. It's CNN, it's ABC, CBS, it's all of them, because they now are trying to do the same thing to social media that they've done to corporate media.
And they're also trying to pass a law that would make it easier for them to have this consortium that basically works with these social media sites to throttle back independent news and push the corporate news.
Look, you own Gallup. Okay, I mean, excuse me. Let's say you own any one of the sites. Pick one. Financially, you do better if you can get MSNBC and CNN and all of the corporates to keep pumping money. That's all it's about.
Yeah.
Your story becomes irrelevant, Farron. The great stories you do. I mean, you do exceptional stories every day. But if I look at your story next to CNN, MSNBC, you got to go 20 stories down before we see anything having to do with Ring of Fire again, or Sam Cedar, or David Pakman, or TYT. They're trying to make us disappear because it's all about money.
Yeah, it is. And that, I think, is why it bothers me when you see the 70% number of 70% Democrats saying, no, we trust the media.
Oh, no.
Well, you shouldn't. Listen, the media is not outright lying to you. And I think that's a different, well, it depends.
I don't know, Farron.
It depends on your outlet, sure, but the issues we've always had with the media is the corporate influence, the censoring of the stories, the not telling you the whole truth.
Well, it was just like the Newsweek story that we just did. Okay,
right.
Newsweek.
It's true, but it's also, you're missing so much context.
Right. You would have to read behind to understand that Newsweek basically hustled you on that story to make it sound like the Saudis had just bought into Twitter. Well, no, that was absolutely incorrect. But that's the way this is all being shifted. So somebody who, we're going to say stuff corporate media doesn't say, and we got the whinies who say, I can't believe you said that because I don't want to hear it. It hurts my feelings that you said the Democrats, for example, are getting their butt kicked. Hurts my feelings, and they get mad at us. That's what social media should be doing, because nobody else is doing it.
Yeah.